that we all have received in our educations. You know, you work hard, you get a house, you pay a mortgage. No, I want to actually blow that out of the water and bring to the table the idea of service-based leadership. And I'm going to pull out the elements from Parenting Future Leaders to have a very culturally relevant experience for Pakistan or for whatever country that I may be facilitating in or supporting other educators to facilitate in, where I teach we consciousness in a very unique and creative way through storytelling. For example, I have this is something that a lot of parents or people that take my workshop never forget. I tell a story about bacteria and how bacteria had to learn to work together to create the miracle of human life. And then I have the parents kind of really go deep and apply like, oh my goodness, that means I have to work with people that are different than me. And I have to collaborate with people with different needs. And how can I really bring out my personal best as I inspire the personal best in another being? So I teach we consciousness, and then I also address some of the issues that are going on in the world and how we are each born to be a miracle, to bring that our potential into life by helping each other inspire that. So I do a lot. I have a whole segment on the common core. So what I'm really after in Parenting Future Leaders is helping parents understand the consciousness of parenting leaders so they can create a practice in their homes where now they have the information and the techniques that they need that are research-based. I've read a lot of books on parenting and parenting entrepreneurs specifically. So there'll be a special segment on raising entrepreneurs that are service-based, and then bringing it into a way that's replicatable, right? So whether I am actually flying to Pakistan and supporting the event itself and supporting the teachers and a train the trainer, my hope and intention in all my work is to fascinate with information in a way that's unique, that gets them to pay attention differently, engage them, get them to feel safe so that they're participating, and then use these themes where we're learning to tap into our mind, our heart, and our body in a unique way that feels so good. It feels good. It's heartwarming. So that from this place, people feel honored, they feel seen, and they feel supported to be who they were born to be. And then pull in these elements, right? Because it is an kind of an alchemy program where we're learning to extract the gold from within ourselves. And my work is just so complementary because in all the different modules, I can bring in Joan's work. I can bring in Freedom to Fit and bring in fitness, yoga, meditation, visualization, affirmation, whatever it is, but do it in a way that they're also owning it. And yeah, so it has a lot of potential for growth. So in this pilot program with Togetherland, to start with Parenting Future Leaders, because I'm going at the level of, yes, the mothers and the fathers if they want to attend, but I also do want to mention that I have if children want to come and participate, I have that happen. A lot of times parents don't have caretakers and they bring their 9 and 10-year-old to Parenting Future Leaders workshops. And the 9 and 10-year-olds feel so comfortable. They raise their hand, they participate. So I'm very much about inclusivity and helping them just feel that they're the change that the world has been waiting for. And we're just here to give them the gift and remind them of the miracle that they already are. So I'm, hope that helps. I'm happy to answer any questions about my participation or my contribution to this program, but really happy to be here. So I hope that helps.
Thank you. No, your energy is amazing. But obviously you're very passionate about what you do. And, I think that it's long past due in the world to have a curriculum like Parenting Future Leaders, because it's not at all obvious what practices and what, like you said, in the home, what habits and, what parents can best do to help kids. I liked your alchemy analogy as well. The gold is in there. We're just going to tell you how to help you bring it out. So thank you very much. That was excellent.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Laura. And not so subtly extracting the gold within and also translating our, actual extraction of gold to something that's regenerative as well, just as an aside. But I want to touch on something Laura said that's really important to me. And I'm going to speak only very briefly, Joan. I can talk more about Freedom to Fit at a later date, but it feels good to feel good. And that's what our Freedom to Fit programs are based on. I didn't grow up in the most joyful home. My mom put me in a lot of activities actually to protect me from a lot of abuse. And so in my personal exploration of showing up as a leader, I thought to myself, you know, what are the coping skills that are necessary when we haven't been parented as leaders? You know, we haven't had those experiences. How do we get people back on the trajectory of feeling worthy, of desiring a better life for themselves, of feeling hopeful? And that's also not clear in our current school system. I mean, we have one school counselor, Laura. Look at Laura's energy, right? Laura's energy had to support like 2,600 kids in a high school. It's not fair. It's not right. And it's also just not, it doesn't lend itself to a model where people are thriving. So with Freedom to Fit, I wanted to design a sports-based curriculum. I thought, you know, Jeff, I know you love sports. Brett, I know you love sports. All the guys in my life love sports. I grew up with brothers. I love sports. And I thought, you know, I think we can use competition still in a collaborative way. We can use the framing of, you know, wanting to be better than we were yesterday, a little competition with ourselves, a little competition with, you know, our fitness. You know, how many books are we reading this year? I'm going to read 5 books this year instead of 2 books. So the way that I tie that into my programming is that I put everyone on a yoga mat, or if not on a yoga mat, we sit in a chair, right? We can do yoga anywhere. So we sit in a chair, we use whatever we have available to us, Freedom to Fit. We can do it anywhere. We can do it outside with no props or in a full-fledged yoga studio. And we tap in and we get really deep to what things we're battling inside, what's preventing us from finding our wins. And so I use a lot of sports analogies and cues and different, you know, movements where we get people involved, holding hands, a little bit of touch, right? Experiencing how good it feels to just be honored and seen in the physical realm. So Laura, I know you spoke a lot about, you know, we learn better when we're honored and seen. And I think the physical part of that is really important, and we shy away from it because of liability, right? So school systems have a ton of liability, and liability has been a major challenge in terms of being able to go in and talk about body empowerment, talk about sexuality, talk about these things that plague us when we're alone, but we don't really bring up in group. So that's my portion of the workshop, is to get people to tap into their physical body and to feel strong to show up in the world as leaders. Any questions?
No, thank you very much. I like the way you guys are. Like I said, I use the analogy of stitching a quilt together, but you guys are definitely doing that with all these different colorful pieces.
Yes. So with that said, I turn it over to Joan, because with the body comes the kinesthetic learning. So I want you to see that stitch, Jeff. We're stitching the mind to the body to the kinesthetic learning, and then she'll connect that to the business and the entrepreneurship. So Joan, go ahead.
Great, thank you. I have to say, first of all, my favorite husband just brought me something to eat because he figured I didn't eat before. And if none of you know, I am a foodie. And that's what we're going to talk about, is the Climate Smart Victory Garden. I grew up associating food with fun, tasty, healthy, and community. So when I came to Canada, I kind of miss having those Saturday afternoons where, you know, everyone came together in intergenerational youth, men, women, old, young, and, you know, the men went out and caught crabs and shrimp, and the women made rotis, and we were dancing and all of that. So I wanted to create that when we decided to do the food program. And for me, the Together Land presents another opportunity to collaborate, support, and document. It's very important to document a process where people are having fun and learning. And I think that's the part that is really important, so that we bring people into the picture even if they're not there. I think that's really important. And the Pakistan project would be another international project that we would support, and would base it on our existing project in Tanzania, which went the full circle from introduction right to employing people. So the Climate Smart Victory Garden is a proven model, has been proven over 100 years. It basically focuses on nutrition, the daily requirement, nutritional value of food. Lots of people like to cook and eat, but they're not actually getting their vitamins and minerals. So that's one of the biggest things about the Victory Garden, is that it helps you identify that. What we've done is we've taken that model and modernize it to incorporate climate change, technology, entrepreneurship, and cultural sensitivity. So we don't dictate to someone what they have to eat. All we do is help them identify the vegetables that have the different vitamins, which is kind of fun for us because we get to learn about how people cook the different things. So for example, a good example in Canada, we work with the Ladies Auxiliary, the Royal Canadian Legion, which is a military outfit. And we work with the ladies, I'm part of the Ladies Auxiliary. And so we would bring food to them to cook, so that the community can taste what fresh vegetables taste like, because it is different than buying it at the store. And so they're all white and old. And so they cook the pumpkin soup. And so they had me taste it, and then East Indian. So I said, oh, it's really good. So this is 12 years ago. It's really good. They said, well, you don't sound very excited. And I said, well, how about if we put some ginger in it and a little bit of sour cream? Oh, so they put it, and the community loved it, because ginger is good for you, number one, but it was something that they've never had. So what we learned was this whole idea of not just eating it and building community, but also to learn what inside a soup, how it could actually help you with your immune system, and in a fun way. Now, we didn't impose it, we just had it, taste it. So what the Climate Smart Victory Garden components is about global citizenship, civic engagement, entrepreneurship, sustainable agriculture, but it all leads to economic development, starting your own business in your community. But the power of Togetherland and any entity like that is that there could be an international component where people can then start to trade on their product, whether it's dried food or food processing, in addition to selling it at a market garden in their own community, for example. One of the ways that for the Tanzania project, what made it so successful was that we ensure that they never competed with their local community. So they had to go out and find out who was planting what, and then build on what was needed or missing. So if people wanted to have cassava, which was an identifiable need, other farmers were doing it, but the need was greater, so they could incorporate that. But they could not incorporate peas, for example, because there were 3 farmers that were doing it. So it became a collaborative effort on a community level. And so that you didn't create conflict, because we, in addition to feeding and building community, we didn't want to create conflict, which then creates war. And we didn't want to do that. We call food the great equalizer, because if you can enjoy food and build community, I mean, I think in Western society, they have a concept called breaking bread together. And you break bread together, you're being together, it's much larger than the bread itself. And so that's what the whole idea is, that food is the great equalizer, and that it's something that we can all talk about. On the entrepreneurship side, I mean, it's great that Laura, part of her personal development with youth and mothers is that sometimes a lot of mothers are not exposed to or see a way that they can incorporate being a businesswoman as well as a mother. And I was in that situation when my daughter was young. This is the reason I became self-employed, was because I wanted to be first and foremost a mother, but I wanted to have an economic strategy. So I totally understand building that. Many people in Pakistan and South Asia already have a merchant mentality. So it's just a matter of taking that gold and building it, that, you know, so that they can learn. And that's why this is so powerful. It is mixing the mind, body, and soul, really, to make a better, greater society. So the strengths of our Climate Smart Victory Garden is that I do belong to the Institute for Engineers. I'm their humanitarian advisor. So the technology side of it, if somebody wants to do off-grid solutions or green housing, we can tap into 440,000 members, and specifically those in South Asia. We're also part of the Silicon Valley E-Club for Rotary. So we can access over 1.1 million volunteers to help on the service side. So we have that. We're doing a proven model that has been around for 100 years. It's scalable, it's easily replicable, and it's responsive, the way we've designed it, responsive to any local community. I guess our goal is really to promote an eco lifestyle at the end of the day. I mean, we are the foundation for building sustainable communities. That is our mandate. And so this whole capacity building, education, and putting it all together, and not leaving anything off the table, because you can meet someone who is say physically fit, but they're mentally a desert, right? So you want to sort of bring everything together. You're not going to solve all the problems, but it's on the road to do that. So that's why I'm very, very happy to be part of this. And I don't want to take up more time. So I think that sort of captures what we do.
Thank
you, Joan. You know, while you were talking about that, I was thinking I'm actually reading a book right now about the one thing that actually worked in communist China, which was communes. And the communes were built around food. That was the center of everything, the production of it, the sharing of it, not as much the breaking bread, not as much the social, because it was communist China, but the lessons learned from communities built around food, basically. That was the one thing that actually worked during those years. So it's interesting you brought that up, because I happen to be reading that book now, but that was excellent. Good. Thank you very much. I don't know if you know, but I had this, to your breaking bread thing, I had a childhood goal that I wrote on a little note card when I was a kid, that for me to become, I did not use these words as a child, to become an evolved human being, which is not the words I used. I just wanted to become the person I was hoping I could be someday. That my path to getting there was I wrote this down when I was like 12, to break bread with 50 different families in their homes in 50 different countries and cultures. And so that was a running goal that I continue to do. Every country I go to, I find a way, I ask, to go to somebody's home and break bread with their family in their home, away from tourists, politicians, media, whatever else. Just go to someone's home and break bread with them, to observe how they actually live every day. And I'm up to, I think, 97 countries now, but
wow,
it's probably been literally the most important part of my personal development, is the fact that that opportunity is where, the real understanding comes from, not from things I read or see on TV. It's when I'm sitting in the home with the family for the evening, that I can actually understand people. I did that with Muslim women in pretty much every Muslim country, as an example, because, you know, the divide between me and them, for me to ever be able to understand them, which was important because we were putting together programs to help. How are you helping people if you don't even know what they need? So anyway, story for another day, but I was thinking about all that while you were talking. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, those are all excellent points. And I guess it sort of lends itself to the next part of our discussion, which I'm gonna just talk just a little bit about the financials and the impact that we're making and the sort of larger picture. And I think I said to the women on the phone before we got on this call today, you know, Togetherland it's a real life movie. You know, when those communes were forming in communist China, I don't think they were broadcasting them, right? You actually had to go and find them, I imagine, Jeff. You had to, like you said, someone wrote a little note to you and showed you how to get there. But imagine if as a child, you were able to be led by a sort of project adventure style workshop in school, you know, to go, and that was a classroom assignment, right? You were go to your neighbor and have a meal. These are just sort of the types of interactive experiences that we want to A, deliver, and B, document and create network ready content, whether it be a full length documentary film or whether it be, you know, a series. I've mentioned to you some of my ideas for Farm Bite series, or, you know, having a host to showcase for the world what this conscious lifestyle looks like and how people can be involved from the beginning. Even if, I mean, we're on our screens so much anyway, we might as well feed ourselves nutritious foods and nutritious content as well. So with that said, I'll just talk a little bit here about the financial model. What we're seeking, Jeff, very broadly is $250,000 tax deductible donation. So for this project, that $250K, you've seen the budget. Freedom to Fit is a certified USA charity. We have a fiscal sponsorship agreement in place with CDF. And actually, you know, before I talk about this, Miriam, I haven't even given you a chance. Miriam, are you with us?
Yes, Jenny, I'm with you.
Oh, good. Okay, before I talk a little bit about, you know, the next steps, I just want, we're at 10:50 here, 12:50 or whatever time it is by you, but maybe just give a couple sentences here about CDF and why you guys are excited about this and where the stakeholders are at in terms of wanting this.
Thank you so much, Jenny. And I think so a major part of our program have already explained by Laura and John very precisely. And I just want to add one thing, which we already mentioned in our previous meeting, that I'm very much excited that because this program is going to be the first exemplary program for Pakistan in terms of you know, physical attachments with the program by mothers, because there is no non-profit organizations here in Pakistan which is designed such kind of program for the women. Yes, we have a lot of organizations which are working for the women empowerment, women education, and women awareness capacity building programs here. But this is a different sort of program from this group. For us. And I think so the beauty of this program that we are going to, you know, practically taking all these women which are never taking part in such kind of programs. So I think so this is a highest level of our interest in this program, that especially after COVID-19, when people are very much in stressful situation, especially mothers. So we are taking them and we are, you know, giving them a different sort of lifestyle. We are giving them different sort of thinking about their families growing and taking them with a good food, good way of life, and so on. So I think so this is the biggest reason of our excitement in this program. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Miriam. And yeah, that just really ties into the impact, right? So again, our target beneficiary is the mothers to start. 1,800 mothers in 36 school districts. But beyond that, also, Jeff, when we're seeing how maybe we can collaborate, and hopefully you're excited about this project, I think that we're also empowering 5 women right here on this call, like 5 female leaders who are in their own right doing really good work, who have the energy, the capacity, and the skill set to ripple that effect out to way more than 1,800 beneficiaries. 1,800 beneficiaries is the first step, right? So after the 1,800 mothers, we're gonna then be bringing in their kids. And after we bring in their kids, we're gonna then be scaling it to multiple countries. So the ripple effect that could come with a relatively nominal pool of funders, a pool of funders that can contribute, or a single grant, or a single donor for the $250,000 seed money, is going to have a gigantic ripple effect for our entire team to keep working on the integration that's necessary to develop the programming into longer term extended delivery models, as well as scale it. We don't want to move too quickly. One of the things I learned about scaling is that everybody wants to scale, but you have to be prepared to scale, because otherwise you're going to fall flat on your face. So the one thing that I'm actually trying to get my team to do here is to pull back a little bit, but also to keep the macro vision. So we're keeping the macro vision in sight, looking toward this corporation where we're actually going to be having funders invest for equity, in equity models on some of the technology later on, but scaling it back to this one-day school assembly where we present ourselves and our gifts to the world and let the funders really come to us, right? Because we do have something so special and unique. So the last thing I'll say about the financial model, again, Freedom to Fit is a 501c3 certified charity. We have a fiscal sponsorship agreement with Community Development Foundation, which is a charity in Pakistan. So we take a sponsorship fee of anything that comes in and can then allocate that money to Laura's program, to Joan's program, to Miriam's program. The other thing we can do, which is rather unique, is that we can actually allocate a portion of the funding to the for-profit We Are Mother Earth company for capacity building. So I've done a lot of research on this, and it is, there's definitely some legal parameters that need to be met, but it's not impossible. It's been done. 501c3 charities have been fiscal sponsors for mission-aligned corporations. So with the seed project in Pakistan, we can take $19,000 from that and start building out the overhead for the Togetherland vision at large. I think that for you, we don't really know, Jeff, like what you feel about this project or what you feel about me or Laura or Joan or any of us. We're just getting to know you, and we want everyone that works with us to feel super excited about this. We only really want to work with people, we want to work with all people, but we want people in our core team to feel clear and strong. So I'm curious, as a mentor, as someone who has been following my work for a year, what you think the next steps for us are.
Oh, that's a big question. The next steps, because you guys have a lot of moving pieces here. The point of these first 2 calls was just for me to ingest all this information about who you guys are, what you're doing, what you're trying to do first, right? Because when you lay everything out there, this is a broad vision, like I said, with a lot of different pieces, but you sort of have to lay them out in order of execution to get these things done. So my answer to your question would be kind of dependent on the chronology of that, on the timeline. You had said, here's what we want to do in 2021, and then we're going to roll into this. So that is not yet clear to me. That might be the topic. And since unfortunately I have I'm looking at the time, a hard stop today in 2 minutes, we're probably going to need another call, because I think the next topic for me to understand is, so obviously I like the vision, or I wouldn't continue to do these calls. and what you guys are trying to do. And obviously all of you, the team, your commitment and dedication and passion, and you all bring something different that's complementary. And you're doing something that matters to the world. So all those pieces fit. Otherwise, like I said, you know, I wouldn't waste your time doing this. I think the next step, Jenny, probably would be another meeting. But what I need to get down to is the rollout, the execution, the next level of detail, saying these are the actual activities, things we're going to build, places we're going to go, stuff we're going to do. I need you to walk me through a rollout plan for a program that has a rough timeline. By the way, it's not usually real dates. Most people do it and they start at the day we get funded by someone. And they say, so it's month 1 post-funding, month 2, month 3. And it sort of shows how you're using money and how you're using time and what the milestones are. So it's a chart that has those 3 axes on it. Here's how long this money will last. Here's what we're deploying it for. Here's a timeline of what it's taking to do this. And here's milestones along the timeline, right? The first workshop that we taught in this location at this time, and we would have spent this much money marketing it or whatever. Is that making sense? Just
yeah, we definitely started that, but I can take your 3-axis, 3-prong approach and develop what we started. So we have the first prong of that axis, the action steps. And with the budget, we can create a fictitious timeline for the unrolling. But we did get that started. It is in the documentation that I sent you. And since I know you're at a hard stop, the only thing I would say, Jeff, is that because we're so many individual entities coming together, having any level of seed funding, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000, would be extremely helpful for us to keep organizing and getting this vision clearer, which we know is so important. So if you or anyone you know would be interested, I'm happy to send you the recording of this meeting, can draw up a document specific to that. But we really need to, in order to orchestrate these gigantic amount of pieces, we're looking for any level of seed funding at the start.
Okay, so I think that, and I can only speak for sort of people I know, my network, I think anybody that was going to write a check, the first thing they would say is, show me the use of this, the axes I just told you. Okay. Show me where this money goes, what it gets done, and when. So those are the 3 axes, right? Okay. What did the money go to? What actually got done with that funding? And when will that be along a timeline? And so when we have that chart, it makes it a lot easier. Makes it a lot easier for me to talk to people in my network as well, because I already know that's the question they're going to ask. So let's plan a 3rd talk and have that ready. Great. And I don't want you to rush. I want you to reach back out and tell me when it's ready. Don't hurry, right? Say, we've all agreed this looks like a good chart that solves that problem. We all agree on it. We think it's realistic and achievable. And it doesn't have dates, it has months, right? That's what I said. It's usually T +1 +2. You just say from whatever the date we would start this, you roll the time out. So don't worry about saying, September of 2021 or whatever. The dates don't matter, but the months do, so that people can see a length of time from when you started, how long all these pieces take, what they cost and what gets done when. And then my call is ringing me. And then let's do another call and we'll walk through that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeff. Appreciate it.
You guys are doing some very exciting stuff, and it's very important. And everybody knows that the leap, I will call it, from vision to execution is where it's the reason that whatever it is, 98% of all startups, some crazy number, I have no idea, never make it out of a first year. And it's because the part we're going to talk about now is the hardest part. Lots of people have dreams, passions, and ideas. Very few people ever figure out how to execute it. And again, it's that 3-axis chart. I have this much money. I can do these things in that amount of time. And you adjust it. We used to do 3 of these. We used to say kind of small, medium, and large. What I'm talking about was when we were pitching to the money. If we only have this much, we can still get done, but here's what we get done. If we had what we want in the middle, here's what we'd get done with that funding. And if things go really well and somebody wants to double what somebody else put in, then we could do this much more. So we usually had a small, medium, and large. What we called them was, conservative, projected, and, aspirational were the 3 charts. but we always have those ready because that's what people want to see.
That's
so
brilliant.
I got to run. Go ahead, Brett. Let's do that for the next one.
Thank you. No, I said that's brilliant. Really precise advice. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
That's great.
All right. Talk
Thank
to you
you.
soon.
Thank
Okay.
you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Thank you.
Bye-bye.